What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. Today, we have our mock draft 2.0 that we present to you with trades. That's right, we have the entire first round with trades all predicted and ready for you to go. So let's jump into it. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick. Well, we are just over a month away from the 2021 NFL draft. And with the start of free agency and everything that's happened in the NFL, it seems like it's been weeks since we last talked about the draft, but it was actually just last week. And you know what? What better time than to come back with our mock draft 2.0, this time with trades that we have projected, and then go through the list and take a look at where these prospects will have their best fits.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all starts off with Trevor Lawrence to the Jags. At number 2, Zach Wilson to the New York Jets. Number 3, Penny Sewell to the Miami Dolphins. Number 4 is our first trade, Justin Fields to the New England Patriots. And finally, Jamar Chase to the Bengals at number 5. And this is a really interesting list. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, we all know that's going to happen. Zach Wilson, that makes a ton of sense. It seems as if they're on to their next quarterback with the Jets. Penny Sewell to the Dolphins. Now, Isaiah Wilson was acquired by the Miami Dolphins and then just released by the Miami Dolphins. He's probably done for his career. But Penny Sewell is the best right tackle in this draft, bar none, and they need to protect to his blind side, which is the right side. So it only makes sense that they go get a guy like Penny Sewell. Now, we all know the Patriots are going to be trading up to get a quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields or Trey Lance, but it seems that they get a trade done here with the Atlanta Falcons, and they get Justin Fields. And I think that makes a ton of sense. I think Justin Fields fits exactly what the Patriots are trying to do. I think that he'll fit with this culture, and he plays the same type of ball at Ohio State that the Patriots play in the NFL. So I think it's a good scheme fit. And Jamar Chase with the Bengals, Joe Burrow gets his weapon back. I think that with the loss of AJ Green, this is a huge step above AJ Green and where he is in his career now, and that offense is only going to be more explosive next season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you the top three because I think that's exactly where we're going to go. To get to number 4, however, the New England Patriots had to trade away Stephon Gilmore to the Arizona Cardinals and acquire the number 16 overall pick. They package their 15 and 16 and then move up with the Atlanta Falcons on top of more draft picks in future years. So they had to actually give up a lot, but they end up getting the guy that they've wanted the entire time in Justin Fields. Listen, if the Patriots can find a way to get one of these top 3 quarterbacks and still be able to sign all these top free agents that they're doing, I think that they are easily the most improved team and should be looking at a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, whoever the quarterback is for the Patriots, if they draft one, he'll obviously be sitting for a year behind Cam Newton, and then he can take over next year once Cam's contract is up. So it only makes sense that they are going to get in on one of the top 3, top 4 quarterbacks in this draft class.
Absolutely. And I love the Jamar Chase pick at number 5. Get him back with Joe Burrow. Like you said, AJ Green is out. It's time to get a new receiver in. Him paired with T. Higgins and the other wide receivers on this depth chart. Nothing seems like it's going to stop the Cincinnati Bengals from continuing to compete and grow their team talent-wise through the draft. I love where this team is going, and I can't wait to see how it all ends up. At number 6, we have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jalen Waddle. Number 7, the Detroit Lions taking Micah Parsons. At number 8, we have the Carolina Panthers taking Trey Lance. At number 9, the San Francisco 49ers actually trade up and grab Caleb Farley. And at number 10, we have the Dallas Cowboys grabbing Patrick Surtain. Starting with number 6, Jalen Waddle makes a ton of sense. You got to get some weapons with Jalen Hurts now taking over the reins and get him a weapon that he knows and trusts and has experience with. And Jalen Waddle coming out of the University of Alabama, their time together was definitely met with a lot of productivity and a lot of good numbers, and I believe that this is going to work out really well. At number 7, Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. The Detroit Lions are just in shambles. I mean, just as an organization, they're in shambles. But I love Micah Parsons here. I love what he can bring to this roster. I think he's going to give them that hardworking, nose to the grindstone dynamic that Detroit understands, knows, and loves. And he's going to be a guy that this franchise relies upon to help be the general on this defensive side of the ball while they figure out every other position that they have to fix. At number 8, it just makes sense. Trey Lance to the Carolina Panthers. The Teddy Bridgewater experiment might be over, but at this point, if Trey Lance is on the board and you're there picking at number 8, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to go grab the quarterback for the future. Go get yourself Trey Lance. Now, the 49ers trading up here with the Denver Broncos, they get their cornerback. And the reason we have them trading is because the Broncos don't actually need a cornerback. And this solidifies the fact that the 49ers will be saying goodbye to Richard Sherman. They have some other issues on the back end of that defense that they need to fix. Why not get arguably the best cornerback in this draft, Caleb Farley, who can run a sub 4.3 40, who's an incredible man-to-man and zone defense coverage guy who can do literally everything you ask of him. I expect him to be on an island in and of itself, and he's going to really hold some of these NFC West wide receivers down a lot. And then finally, you have the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Surtain is absolutely going to be a stud with the Cowboys. He pairs up with Trayvon Diggs, his former teammate, his former best friend. I believe that they're just going to rekindle that friendship, and they're going to be able to really lock things down in Big D.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. Jalen Waddle, it only makes sense that they get a wide receiver. They lost a bunch in free agency, so they got to get a weapon for Jalen Hurts if he's going to have any type of success next season. Micah Parsons, with all these holes, you might as well get the quarterback of the defense and fix that right away, that we can build around him. Trey Lance, yeah, the Teddy Bridgewater experiment, it's coming to an end pretty fast. He signed a 3-year deal. He'll probably be under contract with them for the remainder of that, but Trey Lance will take over after this season. Caleb Farley, it only makes sense, right, that the Broncos trade out. They got Ronald Darby and Kyle Fuller in free agency on top of already having Bryce Callahan, who was amazing last season. There's no reason they need a corner here, and they can push back and get another guy of need while acquiring more draft picks. So Caleb Farley to the Niners makes a ton of sense. Richard Sherman's out. Jason Verrett's back. You might as well have two studs that you can rely on there in that secondary. And Patrick Surtain, he makes a ton of sense. Pair him back with Trayvon Diggs. You know how they worked at Alabama. You know it's going to work well with this team. The Cowboys just got Keanu Neal. That secondary is coming together quite nicely. At number 11, the New York Giants are selecting Kwity Paye. At number 12, the Denver Broncos are taking Christian Barmore after trading back. The Chargers will be drafting Kyle Pitts at number 13. The Minnesota Vikings will be drafting Rashawn Slater at 14, and finally the Atlanta Falcons, with their first of back-to-back selections, taking quarterback Mac Jones. Now, Kwity Paye fits perfectly with the Giants right now. They don't need wide receivers after getting Kenny Golladay in free agency. They just need to fix up this defense a little bit more, especially on that D-line next to Leonard Williams. Kwity Paye is the most NFL-ready defensive end out of them all, so it only makes sense. For the Broncos, they solidified their secondary, so they don't really need a corner, and that's why they're moving back. Christian Barmore makes a ton of sense with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. They need to stack that front seven as much as possible. Kyle Pitts still on the board. It only makes sense that they replace Hunter Henry with the best tight end in the draft class, so there's nothing really to discuss there other than that. The Minnesota Vikings, losing Riley Reif to the Bengals is kind of a big loss, and although Rashawn Slater's a left tackle, they're going to need to put him at right tackle or move their current left tackle to right tackle and work their way up to getting this offense up to par. Right now, the offensive line is a little bit in shambles after losing Pat Elflein in the middle of last season. Now Riley Reif, they've got to keep Kirk Cousins upright and give him some time in the pocket to work. And with back-to-back picks, the Falcons are going to take a quarterback here. They only have Matt Ryan for 2 more seasons, and so they got to get somebody in there who can learn behind him. Mac Jones fits the mold of that offense and what Arthur Smith likes to do, so I think they're going to take Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, just to run through it, Queedy Pay makes a ton of sense with the New York Giants. I mean, Queedy Pay is arguably one of the most dynamic front seven pieces that we have. He can play inside on on nickel defensive packages. He can play outside with his hand in the dirt. He can stand up in the 2 point stance. He can really do it all. This is a guy that Joe Judge is absolutely going to love in his defense, moving him around. Christian Barmore makes a ton of sense. You got to beef up that defensive line in Denver. They have a lot of holes, so moving back and gaining more draft picks and more draft capital to fill some of those holes, that's exactly what these guys are going to want to do. Kyle Pitts with Justin Herbert, sign me the fuck up, because holy hell, I am excited. This is going to be an explosive offense. You have Kyle Pitts, you have Mike Williams, you have Keenan Allen, and don't forget Austin Eckler, who's an incredible talent in and of his own right. I love this offense and all the work that they have done to solidify that offensive line. This is going to light up fireworks. Look out, Kansas City Chiefs, because now you have competition. At number 14, Rashawn Slater. I love this pick. You got to get the offensive line right, especially after Riley Reef left. Rashawn Slater, in my eyes, actually looks like a right tackle, so it would make sense that he moves to the right side. I believe that he has what it takes to be able to move there, and he should be fine doing so. He's not an Orlando Brown who's going to make a big fuss about moving, not being on the left side. So either way, I believe that they get the guy that they want, and he'll be able to help them out. And at number 15, Mac Jones, he reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan, which makes a ton of sense. So if he can learn under him for about 2 years, which is what Matt Ryan's contract actually is, I believe that Mac Jones is going to be the best successor they could have asked for to Matt Ryan at that point. And I like Mac Jones in the Atlanta Falcons uniform. All right, moving on. We at number 16, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who have their second of back-to-back picks, taking Jason Oweh. At number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders take Devonta Smith. At number 18, the Miami Dolphins take Gregory Rousseau. At number 19, the Washington football team takes Christian Darrisaw. And at number 20, the Chicago Bears select Rashad Bateman. Starting with number 16, Owe is one of the most dynamic edge rushers that we have. He's extremely talented, extremely gritty. He is exactly what they're looking for on this defensive side of the ball. Again, just like Queedy Pay in the last five, he can be utilized in multiple different front seven sets. He offers a lot more versatility than a guy like Gregory Rousseau, which is why I believe the Falcons will go Owe here over Rousseau. And it just makes a ton of sense to me. At number 17, I don't know how this guy's still on the board, but Devonta Smith is still available. The Las Vegas Raiders get to replace Nelson Aguilar and Tyrell Williams. I believe that him next to Henry Ruggs back together again, these speedsters are going to light it up. When you talk about some of the fastest receivers in the league, you've got John Ross, you've got Tyreek Hill. Well, now you have to have two Raiders on your list. I think these guys are going to absolutely light it up, and I think the Derek Carr led offense with John Gruden leading this team is going to be really special with the two of them together. At number 18, the Miami Dolphins taking Gregory Rousseau. I love that he is still available. This team lost Shaq Lawson, and you know what? You get an upgrade anyway, because Gregory Rousseau is one of the best edge rushers that I've seen in a long time. I like his talent and I like his ability to rush the passer. The only reason that he's slipped so far is because his versatility is lacking. He's not going to be available on run specific downs. He's not going to be somebody who's going to work a lot in the run game. I like him a lot more as a pure pass rusher. So, but that's what the Miami Dolphins need, because they have plenty of room to grow and they have a lot of young weapons here that they can utilize along that front seven. I like Gregory Rousseau with the Miami Dolphins. At number 19, the Washington football team, they need to fix that hole that Trent Williams left last year after he left, and then Christian Darrisaw makes the most sense. I mean, you got to keep whoever playing quarterback, you have to keep them upright. You have some weapons on the offense that you need to get the ball to. Darrisaw is going to help protect and solidify that offensive line. And at number 20, we have Rashad Bateman going to the Chicago Bears. Rashad Bateman is going to work well off of Allen Robinson, at least for a year. Depending on who really does end up throwing the football as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Andy Dalton. Either way, Rashad Bateman is going to the Chicago Bears. I think he's going to be a big body. He's going to do a lot of great things in Chicago. And he reminds me a lot of Brandon Marshall. So it makes a ton of sense that he ends up in Chicago.
Yeah, there's a lot of good picks here. Jason Owe makes a ton of sense for the Falcons. That defense was so bad last year, and they need to improve it some way. The front seven is where it all starts, and I think that's where they need to focus their attention. You've got Dante Fowler last offseason, Jason Owe with Grady Jarrett on that line. That's a great starting point for this team. Devonta Smith, you pair him with Henry Ruggs, it's lights over. Plus, they had Brian Edwards, who didn't really play last year. And if you remember the last training camp, he was actually better than Henry Ruggs in training camp. So look for that three to be a strong trio for the foreseeable future. Greg Rousseau, it's only fitting that he stays in Miami. He's such a versatile weapon. I mean, I kind of don't agree with how you say he's not very versatile. I think that he fits well. He can play D tackle in a 4-3. He can play D end and a 3-4, and he's got so much upside to him. I think the problem that he's falling is he only has 1 year of tape underneath him. It's a small sample size to go off of, and so you're kind of taking a gamble here. But he has all of the traits that prove that he is going to be a great NFL player. Christian Darrisaw makes a ton of sense. You've got to fix that offensive line. You've got to replace Trent Williams finally. The defense has no issues. You got Curtis Samuel, so you don't really need a wide receiver in the first round. This only makes sense. And Rashad Bateman, the Bears were trying hard for Kenny Golladay, and it didn't really pan out. They're looking for a 1-2 punch with their wide receivers, and Rashad Bateman offers that. He's a big body speedster. Opposite Allen Robinson would be great for Andy Dalton. At pick 21, the Indianapolis Colts select Azeez Ojulari. At number 22, the Tennessee Titans select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. At 23, the New York Jets select J.C. Horn. At 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Elijah Vera Tucker. And at 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Merrick. Azeez Ojulari at 21 to the Colts. They got to replace Justin Houston. Their edge help is a little bit lacking right now, and I think they've got to upgrade through the draft. The Tennessee Titans, they lost Jadeveon Clowney. He's not coming back. And Owusu-Koramoah can be utilized in multiple different ways in Vrabel's system. He can play inside at linebacker, outside at, he can rush the passer or play in coverage. So he's very versatile, and I think he'll work well in that system. J.C. Horn is an obvious need for the New York Jets. They don't have any corners right now besides Brian Poole, and he's average at best. I think that they've got to improve through this draft class, and J.C. Horn makes the most sense here. The Steelers, losing Marquise Pouncey was huge, but another huge piece that they're missing is Alejandro Villanueva. Well, Elijah Vera Tucker is very versatile and can play tackle, guard, and center if they need him to. So with that versatility, why not get a guy like him? At 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars have made so many moves this offseason. They're getting their quarterback of the future. They need to fix this defense up a little bit, specifically that secondary. They got Shaquille Griffin alongside CJ Henderson. Now it's time to get some help over the top with Trayvon Merrick. So I think the secondary is looking pretty solid with this pick.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts and Ojulari makes a ton of sense. You talked about the loss of Justin Houston. Well, they also lost Danico Autry to the Tennessee Titans. So they're down two edge rushers that they had at the start of last year, and that they need to fix that hole. I like Ojulari here. Owusu-Koramoah actually reminds me a lot of Patriots linebacker Donta Hightower in his versatility and ability to not only be a field general, but also go on the outside and rush the passer as well. I like him a lot. I think Mike Vrabel is going to love working with a guy like Owusu-Koramoah. He's going to take him under his wing and really help him out. J.C. Horn with the New York Jets, you laid it out perfectly. They have no corners that are really threatening to anybody. You got to get J.C. Horn, get somebody who can at least help against the number one wide receiver. J.C. Horn will be able to do that right off the rip. Number 24, Elijah Vera Tucker to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love that. I mean, they got decimated along the offensive line this year, and Elijah Vera Tucker can go wherever they need to, especially since they are still talking to some of the free agents on the offensive line. So if they select him, he can play tackle, he can play guard, he can play wherever, and I like that. And then Trayvon Merrick makes a ton of sense with the Jaguars. I love his versatility to play in the box safety. He can play free safety if he really needed to. Either way, I love his pick. I love this pick, and I like where the Jaguars are going. At number 26, we have Zaven Collins, the linebacker, going to the Cleveland Browns. 27, Tevin Jenkins, the tackle, going to the Baltimore Ravens. Number 28, we have Rondale Moore, the wide receiver, going to the New Orleans Saints. 29, Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, going to the Green Bay Packers. And at number 30, we have Samuel Cosmi, tackle, going to the Buffalo Bills. Zaven Collins is the biggest pick here, in my opinion. Zaven Collins is a better version of what Jamie Collins, in my opinion. He is absolutely incredible. He's a dynamite player. He can play all along the defensive front seven, except for defensive tackle, of course. But he is extremely long, extremely athletic. He can play coverage. He can rush the passer. He can do it all. I love Zaven Collins with the Cleveland Browns. Makes them one of the most scary teams in the NFL. Tevin Jenkins, listen, Orlando Brown has made it abundantly clear he will not play for the Baltimore Ravens unless he is moved to left tackle. They are looking to move on from him, which leaves a massive hole, both figuratively and literally, at right tackle. Tevin Jenkins fills that and then some. He's a massive human. I love him on the right side of this offensive line. Rondale Moore, the wide receiver with the New Orleans Saints, they lost Emmanuel Sanders. They have some holes on this offense that they need to fix, and you got to get some weapons for whoever plays quarterback, whether it's Taysom Hill or if it's Jameis Winston. Either way, you've got to get another weapon opposite of Michael Thomas. He can't do it himself, and Rondale Moore makes a ton of sense here. Kadarius Toney going to the Green Bay Packers is against the grain for what they normally like to do at the wide receiver position. Either way, I like him here. He's a good offset to Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is a possession wide receiver where Kadarius Toney is going to stretch the field, open things up a little more for Robert Tonyan, for Devontae Adams, maybe Aaron Jones in there as well. So he's going to stretch the field, take the top off the defense. I really like that here. And at number 30, we have the Buffalo Bills taking Samuel Cosmi, the tackle out of the University of Texas. He's an incredibly strong, incredibly big body. The Buffalo Bills need some tackle help, and why not get Samuel Cosmi to help them?
Yeah, number 26, Zaven Collins, my favorite player in this draft class, not because he's the best player, but because of what he brings to the table. He is by far the most freakishly athletic linebacker I have ever seen in my life. I think that he has the most potential out of all these players in the draft, and I think that him on the Browns fills their biggest need. It only makes sense. Tevin Jenkins, you said it perfectly. Orlando Brown's not going to be there. They need somebody to play that right side. Tevin Jenkins will fit that hole because he played right tackle in college. He's not afraid to play the position. Rondale Moore, they got to replace Emmanuel Sanders on the Saints. They've got to get whoever that quarterback is. They've got to get him some weapons. Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara are great weapons, but they're not enough. You lost Jared Cook. You're obviously not going to take a tight end in the first round. So why not get a wide receiver? I think that Rondale Moore makes a ton of sense. Kadarius Toney, very interesting pick for the Packers because if you look back at their last 10 years of Aaron Rodgers' career, can you remember a burner being on this team ever? They just don't have small guys who burn cornerbacks and defensive backs on their team. It's a bunch of big-bodied wide receivers. So Kadarius Toney goes against the grain for the Packers, but also makes a lot of sense because it's a perfect offset to Devontae Adams, who's a possession catcher. Samuel Cosmi to the Bills makes a lot of sense just because they don't have a lot of needs on their team, but they need depth on that offensive line. They suffered some injuries over the last couple of years, and they need to make sure that Josh Allen stays healthy. And finally, on to the last two picks of the draft. The Kansas City Chiefs at 31 select Liam Eichenberg, and at 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jalen Phillips. Liam Eichenberg, they need a solid left tackle that they can rely on, and it's really between him and Jalen Mayfield at this point. But Liam Eichenberg, big body from Notre Dame, I think that he's going to be perfect for this offensive line, and he's a reliable, durable guy. He's not going to be tearing his Achilles, hopefully, or tearing a pectoral muscle that'll leave him out. So I think they can be sound with him at their left side. Jalen Phillips with the Buccaneers, I believe they'll draft Jalen Phillips just because they need depth on edge. They got guys like Shaq Barrett back and Levante David, but you need to groom some guys for the future. That you've got other positions that are going to be leaving in the coming years, and you're not going to have enough cap room every single year to resign your entire team. Tom Brady's not going to be there forever, so you've got to get some guys in there who can learn from them and grow with this team while Tom Brady's still there, and you have the entire team still together.
Yeah, I like Liam Eichenberg. Listen, Eric Fisher is not going to be ready for this year, and they need to get a tackle there. I mean, Mitchell Schwartz looks like he might retire. That the offensive line is pretty much in shambles with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs fans blamed the fact that they lost the Super Bowl because they had no tackles, and then they were happy to see Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz go. So it doesn't really make sense to me. Either way, they get Liam Eichenberg, and hopefully they can start protecting Patrick Mahomes so he's not making throws while he's parallel with the ground. At number 32, we have Jalen Phillips, the defensive end from Miami. I like it here. JPP is not going to be around forever. You got to fix this defensive end position for the future. Jalen Phillips needs a little more time and a little more grooming. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He bounced around college football for a little bit, finally found a home at the University of Miami, opposite of Greg Rousseau. I like him here. He needs some help. He needs some coaching and some guidance. I really like the pick here, and I believe that under the tutelage of JPP, he's going to be able to actually shine in the NFL. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.